All right, and we are live. Awesome. Let's see if I can get Instagram to cooperate. Go live. And we're live. Awesome. Awesome. Well, hey, welcome everyone. I have a very special guest joining us here today. One of the members in the Fit Body program, Anthony Saggese, who's cut down over 50 pounds in under 6 months. So, Anthony, first of all, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us. And how are we doing today, my man?
Doing great. Feeling good. Feeling
Awesome.
good.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
let's get started in this way. For those of you who may not be familiar with Anthony's story, Anthony, why don't you share a little bit about who you are, what your background is, and also how we connected?
Oh, wow. I'll see. How do I keep this brief? Well, I think like a lot of the guys in the Fit Body program, we all sort of connected from Brooklyn roots, I suppose. It's varying background. I got turned on to the program mainly through Kevin McCormack, who's been a mentor to me since I was a teenager. And when I saw the success that he had a while back, and it always kind of stuck in the back of my mind, I was hesitant to commit to a program or commit to investing in myself because there was a financial expense, a time expense. And when I do something, I like to go all in. But, you know, when you're a father and a husband, you got to keep those impulses at bay. But then it got to a point when after my 50th birthday, where I said to myself, you know, if I'm going to make it beyond the years that my father lived, I'm going to have to do something. And my motivation was really about my children and my wife, and also taking care of my mom and you know, being there for my brother as well. And my brother, who's my biggest enabler, for my birthday was trying to buy me a guitar, and I said, "You're out of your mind. I have enough guitars. That's my biggest outlet is music." And he said, "Okay, well then fine. I'm just going to give you some money then." So I took his birthday present and I gave it to you, and that's how I joined the program. I'm not talking dollar amounts here. It's a funny way of saying I wanted to honor his generosity to me by making the most of it and earning it. And you know, so I'm earning it for him. I'm earning it for my kids and my wife. That's the way I'm looking at it. And I dove in. That's it.
That.
Yeah.
And can you talk a little bit about where you found yourself before joining the program, weight-wise, physically, maybe even mentally, emotionally as well?
A lot of this is driven by the sudden passing of my father in 2020. You know, when someone like that suddenly passes away, that it's very easy for everything to fall apart. He was, you know, we were very fortunate. I was super fortunate to have a role model and a hero as my father, and for my father, and it took its toll on all of us in my family, from me all the way down to my son. Everyone was severely impacted by that loss. It's profound. So you've got the grief, and then you've got the responsibility. And you know, I wanted to make sure my mother was well taken care of, and you know, God bless my dad. He had all that figured out, but we weren't prepared for this, and the paperwork you have to go through, and selling the house and all this other stuff. It really after all, you know, you put your head down, and you get through it, and then you deal with the psychological aftermath of it, and compounded by the grief, right, and then each other's grief. So I got to a point around my 50th birthday where it's like, you know, my wife dragged me kicking and screaming to host a party for me, and it was nice and I enjoyed myself. But after that, I was like, it all just kind of hit me at once, I suppose, or at least it got to the point where I had to address the fact that I was just becoming more lethargic and exhausted, and I was tired of being tired. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. and it was around I guess it was around November. You had made some post or something about, I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was a free month to try it. I said, all right, screw it, I'm going to try it. What have I got to lose at this point, right? Except weight. And maybe I'll feel a little bit better. And that's, thank God, what happened. I mean, I knew one thing about myself was that I could be coached. And as I recall, that was what you said in that post. Like, can you be, the first thing you asked me, when I contacted you, was, can you be coached? And I was like, that's the perfect question for someone like me, because I want to learn from an expert. And I had seen the results for Kevin Mack and some other friends, actually, others varying guys. And I said, okay, he clearly knows what he's doing. Follow the plan and see if you get results. And it just almost immediately just turned my life around. And I love it now. I look forward to my workouts. I build my life around that. It's kind of gamified, looking to make my protein and nutritional goals every day. And you know what? I don't necessarily need a drink to relax anymore. The tired I feel now is an earned tired. It feels good. And I put my head on the pillow at night and I'm like, okay, good. Let's see if I could beat the amount of sleep I got last night. And you look at the stats in the morning, jump on the scale, look at this, see what the weight is. Am I pushing more weights at the gym? It's all gamified, and every little win compounds, and that kind of feeds into the momentum, makes you want to go back, and it makes you want to win the morning every morning. Win the morning, win the day. Somebody said that. It's a real smart guy.
I love that. It's gamified. I love that you said win the morning, win the day. It's a principle I live by. And could you share with everybody, if you don't mind, also what your starting weight was and where you're at now 6 months later?
Well, let's just say I was knocking on the door of 300 pounds and anxiously trying to get in. I remember when you go to a doctor's office, those scales are evil. You have to add 5-10 pounds to them. There's something going on there. I think it's a conspiracy. But when I saw my cardiologist at one point, I guess it was the visit, 2 visits before I started the program or whatever, and I was on his scale, I was 288.
Wow.
And he saved my father's life. He gave us like an extra 30 something years of my dad, 40 years, I think. Wow. Yeah, I'm trying to remember how long it was. He had a heart attack really young. Anyway, I just see him as a preventative measure because it's in the family, right? And he looked at me, he's like, you want to keep going this way, you're gonna be over 300 pounds next time I see you. And I'm like, okay. But at the time, it just kind of felt like, I'm never going to be able to do this. I can't do, listening to the no, that voice that says, oh, don't bother. And you can't do this. That voice is a very powerful SOB. And if you let it whisper to you, the whisper becomes a scream over time and you don't even realize it. That's all you hear. And so when I finally, when I started the program in earnest, that first week, I think it was about 282. So let's say I started at 282 and then here I am now and, knocking on the door of the 220s. So,
yeah, congratulations. Absolutely. And
I thank you for the congratulations, but I sort of think of this as like if you have a really nice car and you don't wash it for 20 years and then suddenly you wash it and somebody says, oh, congratulations, like maybe I should have been washing it a little bit earlier.
I like the mindset you're in because in your mind, you're not there yet. And we still have work to do. And yeah. I think that's a very powerful mindset. And this is something we talked about. Like, do we even want to share this right now? And the main reason I wanted to share it was because I thought, first of all, it has a good ring to it. The fact that you've cut down over 50 pounds in under 6 months. But also, I think it might inspire somebody to realize that, wait a minute, like wherever they might find themselves at now, that, wait, it's possible. You can do this through the holidays with having a family, with having kids, with working, being a busy dad. You can also do this because I think a lot of what's missing for a lot of people is exactly what you said. It's those voices in their head where it's like they're listening to those voices that tell them, no, you can't do it. And they don't have that hope. They don't have that like sense of inspiration that it's possible. And a big part of sharing your story is like, hey, I did it, right? And I'm doing it. And so I appreciate you sharing that. And also, I want to hear from you now that you have had this transformation. How are you feeling on, obviously, we haven't fully gotten to the other side of it, but in the midst of it, in the midst of the transformation, how are you feeling?
I feel more alive than I've felt in years, personally. I'm not thinking about myself as a father and a husband. It's just me, and then I caution myself not to think too much about that. I don't want to be selfish. I have to look at this through the lens of how it's going to make me a better father and husband and son and brother and maybe friend to other friends, if I can be of any inspiration to anybody watching this or whatever. The mental benefits, pun intended, outweigh the physical ones.
You have some really good puns.
But it's for me, that's honestly the way I feel. I feel better. I realize there's a seriously you can't take away the connection of the mind in all of this. It's your mindset that lets you listen to the no or say F you. I'm not listening to you today. I'm going to get up and off my ass and do something. When you're in a depressed state and you're in grief, and it's almost impossible to break out. You think you can't break out of it, and then one little thing happens, and then you build on that. That's the key to all this, is the momentum. It's the little victories. You're not going to lose 100 pounds in a month. That would be unhealthy, But and you don't consistently lose every day. Some days you go up, some days you go down. Depends on what time of the day you get on the scale. And I'm not even trying to obsess with those numbers. What I find very gratifying is I don't fit into my old clothes anymore. Things are hanging off of me now. It's great. You're putting me in the poorhouse now because I'm going to have to buy a whole new wardrobe. So. I'm kidding. Kidding.
Anthony Mussolino, a colleague of yours,
right?
Somebody you went to school with, he would say, if you think Urslan's program is expensive, wait till you get the bills for the tailored suits and all the clothing you have to buy on top of it when you start seeing the weight come off.
I love Moose. By the way, if anybody's looking to sell a house in Brooklyn, call Moose, Anthony Mussolino.
Yes, I second that. Anthony Mussolino is your number one realtor in all of Brooklyn, not only in Bay Ridge. That's the man right there. Shout out to you, Moose. Talking about Brooklyn roots, here's a guy who orders the right side of the menu when you go to a restaurant.
That's a great restaurant too. I got to stay away from there while I'm on this program.
Which is funny because I was looking to do a meetup there with everybody.
I'm like, what are you trying to do? Like reverse some of the progress I made? Just leave it done.
It was great. So one thing I'd love to hear from you, Anthony, is what are some of the things that you've tried in the past that maybe didn't work for you as well as something like this is working for you?
Well, I think it comes down to a simple phrase: knowledge is power, right? I didn't have the power. I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't know what I was doing when, the one form of exercise I truly love above everything else is bike riding. I could cycle 20, 30 miles and, that's a great day for me. But that's not enough. There wasn't a combination of that and the nutrition or that an understanding, what interval training is. Like I did interval training on a bike, but it's different. And you can't just eat anything you want and then go out and ride 20 miles and expect to lose weight from that. There's a combination of things. So, I didn't understand what I needed to do. I had previously tried Noom, and I did lose weight on that program. It was very much a self-service app type thing, and it sort of gamified stuff, and I learned a little bit, but it didn't come with the staying power. I don't know if everybody understands this about the Fit Body program, but even though it's remote, there's a community involved, and we all, you can hop on the Zoom calls once a week if you have time. There's the chat that goes on every day. Guys talk about wins they have, struggles they're having, and you realize that you're part of a group that is experiencing all the same kind of stuff. And I think you get the wins of physical and mental benefits going through the program, but then you sort of realize, oh gosh, I know what this guy is feeling. I was there a couple of weeks ago, or I was there a couple of months ago. This is what I did that worked for me. Go for a walk, something, whatever the tip is, even if it's the meals, like for example, we track everything we eat, right? So you find a good locale meal or something that you find tasty. Okay, great. I'm going to save this in the app and mark it with FHIT. So anybody that searches FHIT is going to find a meal that is A, on program, and B, tastes good. It's the guinea pig already did all the dirty work for you. All you got to do is reproduce it. Great. So the community benefit, I think, is something that can't be overstated too.
No, absolutely. And thank you for all you contribute as well. And one thing I wanted to ask you was, what, with that said, was different about this program, maybe even to piggyback on what you were saying, than anything that you've ever tried before in the past? I know you mentioned a little bit of it already with the community, with the knowledge, but if you want to even expand on that.
I think the accountability is something that is a cornerstone of it. So yeah, you're tracking your meals and you're tracking your workouts. But I know that you are personally reviewing every single thing I put in there. So you see how I'm hitting my macros, how close I'm making my calorie goals every day. And then you're looking at the reps I'm doing and the weight I'm pushing on each exercise. And you told me, okay, well, it's time we were doing full body routines the first couple of months. So now let's split it up. You do upper body one day, lower body the next. We went from 3 days a week at the gym to 4 days of the week at the gym. I've talked to you about how I can work cycling into this and not see any detrimental effects to the progress I'm making, but only use that as an extra tool. You've taught me about that. I know that I can reach you anytime. We've shared recipes. We've shared, feedback on air fryers. You name it. It's like this isn't. I don't feel alone. I feel fully supported, and I think that's a huge benefit to the program. You get that personal service that you provide.
Thank you. No, I love that. Absolutely. I remember when I was at an event one time that there was a Navy SEAL talking about listing out areas of your life that you feel like are going well, and then vice versa, areas that you feel like aren't going well. And one thing he pointed out that was like a huge light bulb for me is that any area that you feel like things aren't going as well in, chances are you don't have a good support system in that area. And vice versa, areas that you feel like are going well, chances are you do have that, what he called a coordination of action, like a support system there, right? Yeah. So totally makes sense. And that's something that a lot of the other members echo as well. And Anthony, what would you say? I know you mentioned the community being an unexpected, understated, benefit. What would you say was maybe one of the greatest, and you also mentioned like having the mental aspect of things improve, the greatest non-weight reduction, the non-scale victory, if you will, or an unexpected benefit that you received as a result of being a part of the program as well? Looks like someone already came to mind for you.
I'm gonna admit something that I only said to you. I haven't said this publicly. Oh my God! But I'm gonna say it. At my heaviest, I mentioned before that I'm big into music and I play guitar. I've been doing that since I was 15. At my heaviest, the guitar would push away from me and fall off my leg. I couldn't keep it in a comfortable position. And I was like, I can't. One of the first little goals I had was I can't wait until I could keep it in place again like I used to. And that I've achieved that. That was the first one. So that was huge.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations. That deserves a congrats. And also the funny thing is, I remember writing that down. I still have that on your consultation form to this day. And I remember saying to you, if we were to fast forward 6 months from now, what what would have to happen for you to feel like our time together was a success? That was one of the things you said. And here we are 6 months later, and it's a reality.
Yep, there it is. And then there's been some other ones I didn't expect. Like the first time my daughter hugged me, she said, "Daddy, I can get my arms completely around you. I'm not just into like at first she could touch her hands, and now she's able to do this around my back." And then my wife said that too. My son didn't say that because he still high fives me, but that's okay. I play music with him though, so he's totally cool. The other thing was I went for my first bike ride of the season, and I don't know if anybody's familiar with bike riding clothes, but it's basically wrestling spandex, tight fitting stuff. And believe me, I know I look funny in it, but I don't care. I want to be seen by the traffic and not run over by it, so that's okay. But the kit, I never had such an easy time putting it on before, so there was no struggle zipping it up, let's say, and yeah. It was. It didn't have to work so hard to stretch around me.
I love that.
Yeah, might even go down a size. Who knows?
That's awesome. And Anthony, how has this positively impacted other areas of your life? Just even outside of like your physical well-being, your fitness. I know you mentioned a little bit about it earlier, just mental. But
I think it's
like work,
made me
relationships. Yeah.
I think it's made me a little more patient. I hope it has. At least I feel like it has. It's made me. One of the big motivators for doing this is, like I said, to be stronger, to kind of take care of my mom and my family as a whole. I don't feel so wiped out by that. I feel like, okay, what are we going to achieve today? So that's, with my father not being in the picture anymore, and then being the oldest, you feel a sense of responsibility. And God willing, if I remain healthy and I continue to make progress here, how I look at it this way, whatever time is left in this life, I'm going to enjoy every minute of it more than I otherwise would have if I didn't do this. So that's the gift. That's the gift that gives back when you put in the effort. You get back what you put into it in that sense.
I love that. Absolutely. 100%. And Anthony, what would you say was maybe your biggest reservation that you really had to overcome in order to make that first step to join the program? I know you mentioned it earlier with investments and things like investing rather into the program, but I would love to hear from you even beyond that.
Let's be honest. I mean, it is a financial commitment, and it's not something to sneeze at, but it's also, I heard people that were successful saying it was worth it. It was totally worth it. You don't necessarily believe that until you see some results. You got to have a little bit of faith. So it was a leap of faith that I had to take. And what was preventing that was, yes, can I really support this? But it was a fear of failure. I didn't want to make that kind of commitment and not succeed. I couldn't accept failure once I started this, and it's gotten me back to the core of me, the one that goes in whole hog into things and says, I'm going all in. I don't mess around. I'm not dabbling in this. I'm going to do this, and my blinders are on, and hey, you're either going to be with me along for the ride or you're not.
I love that. Heck yeah, man. That's the energy right there. I love that. That's the mindset. Yeah. It's really cool to see how far you've come. Even from your photos, I think we were noticing how those first couple of sets of photos, especially the very beginning, it was just like, versus where you are now. Like those first set of photos, it was almost like this, I don't know if hopelessness is the best word to describe it, but there was just man, like, here we go. Right. But like, the next set of photos that we see like over the progressing months is just like this determination. There's just like this. Yeah, I'm gonna freaking do this. I'm the guy.
Yeah, the first photo kind of looks like. And now it's kind of like.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Now I'm staring at the camera. Like, come on, you want to take my picture? Okay, take my freaking picture. Let's go.
It's like you're battle ready. I love it. It's great. And Anthony, what would you say to anybody that might be on the fence, maybe where you found yourself, where you had a fear of failure, where there's a financial commitment, where maybe it's a dad, it's a father, it's busy, just doesn't know if, what to do, if it's going to work. But what would you say to somebody that might be on the fence about doing this?
I think that once you realize how much power you really have within you to overcome that little voice that says no, that is true empowerment. That is freedom. It's if you were buying a house, you wouldn't want to buy something that couldn't stand, right? So there's an investment involved there. You're buying a car. You're not going to buy a piece of garbage. You want to be able to, the thing's got to start and take you where you want to go. It's like any other investment like that, right? You want to make a sound, wise investment in yourself. And that's what this is. That's what it is. Look, there's no guarantee of good health 5-10 years from now. There's no guarantee in anything. But like I said, however long I got left, I'm going to enjoy every minute of it more than I otherwise would have. I just feel better.
I love that. That's amazing, man. And what would you leave everybody off with? Just some final piece of wisdom, some maybe golden nuggets that you'd like to share?
I don't know. I don't know that I have. I'm in a position to impart wisdom. I say you really just got to try to be consistent, and don't look to have results super fast. Just look to do the work. Just do the work, and the results will come. Just be consistent, and greater results will come. And you're gonna, it's brought me closer to everyone in my family. I mean, and there's something else I gotta say. This does not happen, but I can't take any bows or credit for any of this. My wife does the shopping. She does 99% of the food prep. My brother is there cheering me on all the time. My kids are cheering me on. My mother's cheering me on. I got nothing but positive feedback from friends. You don't do this. You don't do anything in life alone. And this program in particular, I think is very much one of community, whether it's the community in the Fit Body program itself or the people in your own life that are supporting you. I could not do this by myself.
I love that. 100%. I couldn't agree more. I think there's only so far we can go by ourselves, right? There's a couple of proverbs quotes that I want to share. Right. One that just came up for me is an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And I believe that we're designed to be in community. In fact, yesterday, as I was sharing a little bit about my story on my stories about my mom, I was talking about this documentary called Live to 100, which is a documentary about the longest living people on the planet by Dan Buettner, who is an author of Blue Zones, where all these people live, centenarians. And one of the 4 tenets of living to 100 is community, is being around other people, right? It's exactly what you're saying. And I think the other thing that I wanted to share earlier was how you were saying you're a lot more powerful than you think when you begin to take action in this way. And it reminded me of that quote from Coach Carter, right? We've all heard that, it's not our darkness that we're afraid of. It's our light that we're frightened of most. We're not that we're not good enough, but that we're, immeasurably powerful. That's what frightens us most, right? So I wanted to share those two because I definitely resonated for me very strongly. So thank you for sharing that. And I think your results so far have been a testament to everything we've talked about today, especially being consistent and doing the work and not just looking at the outcome, but really looking to get everything, like you say, win the morning, win the day, looking to gamify the things and just improve upon everything. And you've done that. Yeah. It
helps to be tenacious too.
It helps to be what?
Tenacious.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a good way to describe yourself. The tenacious, 100%. Awesome, man. Well, Anthony, I want to thank you for taking the time, sharing your story. You're sort of like the reluctant hero, right? Like, like in my mind, like you're just like, you're very humble about everything that you've experienced, and And I almost pushed you to do this a little bit because I really wanted you to share your story.
Yeah, you did.
I'm really glad we did, though. I think this was a lot of fun. I think it's going to help a lot of people.
I hope that it does.
Yeah.
And I just intend to keep on going, and we'll see where this ends up, and then maybe you'll convince me to show some before and after pictures. I don't know.
Let's do it, man.
I don't know.
I love that. Awesome. Well, Anthony, thank you for, again, your time. Thank you for sharing your story. And thank you all for watching and for tuning in. And if you found this valuable, if you're interested in learning more, I want to invite you to message me the word ready. And what we can do is chat more about your goals and see if there would be a good way for us to possibly help you as well. So that's it. Thank you again. Thank you, Anthony. And we will catch you in our next video.
Ciao.